I have I have PTSD. I have SPS. I have shitty podcast traumatic stress disorder. Um, anyway, what I had been talking about at the time was, of course, obviously Joe Rogan getting all sorts of shit in the media. This week, it's there's more this week. They're actually Joe Rogan is trending on Twitter today because that's what the lib pussies are calling him. I guess they think that's funny because of this Neil Young spat with Spotify. They're all in a fucking uproar over it. And he was getting I forget who he was getting shit from last. Oh, it was the doctors who signed that. All these people claiming to be fucking doctors who weren't doctors signed a petition to get Joe Rogan banned from Spotify. It's just people do not like. Well, I shouldn't say people. I should say there's a small group of very vocal jerk-offs in this country who just don't want Joe Rogan on Spotify, as if that's going to stop people from listening to Joe Rogan. Like, that's it. That'll be it. Like, there will be nowhere to house Joe Rogan. Right. Okay, get the fuck out of here. But the point I was making at the time was that Joe Rogan is not the only man's man who had been getting grief in the media that week. NFL legend Herschel Walker was also coming under fire. He's been in the world of politics, I guess. I did not realize that that Herschel Walker was into politics until I started following this story. But he found himself at the center of a bit of controversy this week. I guess he's running for Senate in Georgia. And this article says a review of Senate candidate Herschel Walker's Instagram account shows he follows several accounts with links to racy material. One of the accounts has a name not suitable for a family newsletter. Several others also have accounts on OnlyFans, a social media platform popular with porn stars. And I guess I love this fucking quote from I guess it's his opponent here, the guy he's running against, who says stalking and domestic abuse are disqualifying by themselves, which I had no idea that Herschel Walker had stalking and domestic abuse allegations or whatever. But a porn addiction would be a significant third strike. That's just handing the Senate to the Democrats. While personally sad, it's definitely conduct unbecoming of a candidate for elected office. That guy really seemed to blow off the stalking and domestic abuse. Yeah. Those things are terrible, but he's also jerking off to pictures and videos on the internet, and that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Follow your wife around and get handsy with her. That's one thing, but if you jerk off, you can choke your wife as long as you don't choke your chicken. Is what these people are kind of saying. That's what it feels like. Yeah. So the very serious criminal allegations of stalking and domestic abuse were not like just so flippantly disregarded, but him jerking off some fucking chick shows her butthole on OnlyFans, and that's a huge problem. I love it. I gotta be honest though. I've had this kind of belief, and you've heard me kind of ruminate on this throughout the pandemic, but I have to think that sites like OnlyFans throughout this whole thing have probably prevented a lot of intra-family violence. Like, I would think living in the suburbs seems like a fucking nightmare in a lot of ways. And I feel like, and I can't, obviously this is not my own lived experience, but just the looks on the faces of guys who are like married with families who live out in suburbia, I feel like they're probably a healthy chunk of them who who spent the entirety of lockdown just locked in the fucking bathroom with the phone, looking at like amateur buttholes and jerking off. Uh, because do you remember what the kind of basic white bitch was like during lockdown, like when all that shit, when everything first kind of popped off? They were getting fucking sloshed on Zoom happy hours every night. They were staring at the out the fucking windows, calling the police on people for going out without a fucking mask on. They were lysoling everything. The fuck they were banging. They were recording themselves. So many suburban white women were recording themselves walking around their homes, clanging pots and pans every night at 6 p.m. and putting it on social media, uh, under the guise of doing it to support the first responders. Obviously, we know that had nothing to do with the first responders. It was they wanted the attention, they wanted the social media clout, the likes. Oh my god, you love the first responders so much that you were walking around banging pots and pans like a fucking asshole, um, every night at 6 p.m. Could you imagine if you were a frontline worker and you live next door to one of these shitheads and you get off like a 12-hour shift? You're wearing one of those fucking space suits because you don't want to. We don't. That was back when everyone thought COVID was like actually bad. Now it's the fucking sniffles. Uh, and you're just about to doze off, and all of a sudden the fucking lunatic next door is just hammering a couple frying pans together. Um, so these guys are living with this, and literally you're just stuck with them. Fucking, there's no escape. Like you go to the office, and if you were kind of like, the married dad bod counterpart to the basic pot and pan banging white bitch, your life used to be like, okay, you have an annoying wife, but like maybe she's like kind of cute because like most basic bitches are pretty put together because they all do Pilates and shit like that. And she's cool with you having a fucking dad bod because it's kind of en vogue in certain circles now. And you guys just you get hammered on White Claw together on weekends. You got a couple kids, and that's that. Your combined incomes afford you a very nice lifestyle. You get away from her 40 hours a week at the office. You bullshit with the guys. You have a great time. Uh, and it's fun for you. But now all of a sudden you're with this wacko just in perpetuity with no end. The government has told you that there will be no end in sight to the consecutive hours that you will be spending with this woman. And especially if she's really into COVID culture, like the idea of you even going out for a fucking walk in the park, probably off the table. Um, so I have to think that for these guys who, OnlyFans skyrocketed in popularity during the lockdown, I have to think that these guys who were jerking off to the girl next door who was filming her pussy with an iPhone, uh, that was the only thing keeping these guys sane and the only thing preventing the suburbs from just being littered with the bodies of murder suicide victims. Like one of the sort of post du jour in the stories du jour in the New York Post for a lot are like these things where some guy just goes berserk and fucking whacks his entire family and then himself. Like they run those all the time. I'm convinced that we would have been seeing several of those a day if guys couldn't escape to the bathroom to jerk off to cam girls. Like I really think that was a huge, when the history books are written, when people kind of do a breakdown of what was going on in this time and place in America, I think we're going to say that a lot of lives were saved because some fucking community college chick living in a studio apartment decided to upload pictures of her friend licking her toes to a page that sat behind a paywall. and these guys were lucky enough to find that as an outlet, instead of killing their families and then themselves, because that would be tragic. So I think that Herschel Walker, being a politician, I think he should lean into jerking off to OnlyFans. I think it will make him ahead of his time, sort of like when Bill Clinton admitted to smoking weed. Herschel Walker could admit to jerking off to cam girls, right? Clinton didn't inhale. Herschel maybe didn't ejaculate. Neither of those sound like a lot of fun. You should inhale and you should ejaculate. In any case, Walker's campaign has responded to the allegations. They said, "This is stupid. He follows or is followed by tens of thousands of people," Walker's campaign manager, Scott Paradise, said in a statement. Scott Paradise sounds like he's a guy who has his own OnlyFans jerk-off page. Scott Paradise sounds like he's like running some sort of twink page for himself where he jacks off all over his belly and rubs it in, and fucking, married men watch it discreetly on their like they park in the parking lot behind a 7-Eleven, and they watch Scott Paradise's jack off videos, and they think of that time they could have experimented in college. I know what's going on with you suburban dads. You fucking deviant creeps jerking off to jerk off pages. Yeah. I think Herschel should fucking lean into this seriously. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, my fucking oh, I couldn't see there. Yeah. Release. Got distracted by some people walking up the stairs. Release his internet search history the way they do with tax returns, and demand. Hold on. Ugh. And demand that other politicians do the same. So if fucking, say, what's her name? The chick, Lady G, is jerking off to Scott Paradise, and 7-Eleven parking lot, fucking Lindsey Graham tuned into the video on his way to Congress. He's parking back there and tugging his hog to Scott Paradise. You run against Lindsey Graham and you say, "Hey, I'm Herschel Walker. This is what I've been jerking off to. Let's see yours." Now Lindsey Graham releases his. He's got no choice. People are gonna be like, "Look, you're jerking off to Scott Paradise, or you're not. Let's see it." Like they do with the tax returns. I think that would be a lot of fun. Think of the things we would find out about our elected officials. Excuse me. I obviously I don't work with the best set of eyes here. Should probably get this shit fixed. But wouldn't it be tremendous if we could find out who's looking at Asian teens, who's looking at BBWs, which members of the Christian Coalition are into well-hung twinks? Is Ted Cruz dabbling in gilf porn, right? Is Ted Cruz sitting in his car outside of an assisted living facility? Does he stop? But does he go in and say, I'm interested in renting a room for my grandmother. May I have some brochures?" And walking out into his car and pleasuring himself to pamphlets filled with elderly women on walkers. The people demand to know this. Um, sorry. I hit the vape very hard before recording this. So it is we're a little loopy this morning. I would also like to hear "This is stupid" used more often in our political media diaspora, because there's so many just fucking busybodies out there, just like annoying, nerdy types who want to tell everyone kind of what and how to think, like people who call the homeless undomiciled, I think, are a great example of this. Like when someone gets thrown in front of a train by a vagrant on PCP, and someone says, please don't call them homeless, you call them undomiciled. We get to say, this is stupid. We get to call you a fucking idiot for that. Um, but yeah, so that's that. In summary, what you missed while I was silent last week is that I think Herschel Walker should get out ahead of things, release his masturbation video history, so that we can now hold our politicians accountable for what they're tugging it to, or at least to not even to hold them accountable, because I think you should be able to, if you want to jerk off to twink jerk off videos, if you want to jerk off to grandmas, if you want to jerk off to BBWs, to Asian chicks, to whatever, jerk off to it. Um, but I think it gives us a more well-rounded vision of who our elected officials are than the same way we do when we look at their tax returns. So it's, if you guys are the voting public, I would like to to see us get something going behind this.